So I wanted to talk today, and I brought my notebook because all this is pretty hard to remember it all. And I just wanted to talk about music and volleyball, and more beach volleyball, but indoor has its own rhythm too. Um, but in beach volleyball, because you have more space to cover, you see a lot more rhythmic footwork than maybe in indoor anyways. So yeah, I'm gonna make this music metaphor, which um, you know maybe sounds kind of cliche, I guess, because you could say that about a lot of things, I'm sure, and people do. But I mean it for real, because the way our feet and our footwork move on the court, um, we're moving in timing, and we have our own rhythm, and um, and so, like, the biggest mistake I see out of beginner players is their timing, and their timing is really bad, and it's frantic, I would say. It's kind of just like their feet are all over the place, and it's usually their feet are all over the place, all over the place, too fast, but like too late. So they're just taking a bunch of small little steps really fast at the end, and not achieving anything, right? And that's kind of like quarter notes and eighth notes in music, with really bad timing. And our feet can't move fast enough to do quarter notes and eighth notes correctly. Um, so when you see those frantic little steps, right, that's that's what I like to call bebop jazz. If you don't know what that is, listen to it, and you'll see what I'm trying to say. It's just a bunch of random fast little notes, and they don't fit like an overall big picture rhythm. So we don't want to be playing bebop jazz. We want to be playing like classical or rock and roll. Um, so in volleyball footwork, we move mostly in full notes, and so, like, when we play a full note, and the full note timing too. So, like, each note you play, and I'll step back and do some footwork, I think. But each step you take is a whole note: 1, 2, 3, 4. And each step you take, you're holding it, right, for the time of the note. You're not like in and out of that step way too fast and frantically. You're holding each one of those steps. So, like, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That was 3 whole notes, and then a half note right there at the end. And so, and the half note is just your half step, pretty much, right? And and so those half steps should also, their timing should be half the time of the whole step, right? And so we want to operate mostly in whole notes, and we usually, let's say our approach into passing or setting is 4 steps. We'll take 3 whole steps, and then we'll take a half step. So, like, you shouldn't be taking like 4 or 5 half steps ever, and you probably shouldn't be taking 3 half steps either. But the pros, see, that's what makes the pros is they can take 3 half steps and they can do it effectively. And other people can't. Hey. All right, back to half notes. So, we usually only want to take 2 half steps or half notes, max, unless we're really good and we know how to take 3 half notes, right? And the way the pros do 3 half notes, that's a triplet in music. So if you can do the triplet, like and it all depends on like your quad strength and like how reactive your quads are and how stable and balanced you are. It's like, can you effectively take 3 half steps on the court? And um, so generally that's pretty tough, right? So if you want to get good, try that. But if we want to make a rule, let's say no more than 2 half steps ever. And so we operate in whole steps and half steps, and we only take a max of 2 half steps. And our half steps, they're what finish our footwork into our position before we make contact with the ball. So we'll step 3 whole steps, and then we'll step our half step in to finish our movement. And then when we're in our stable passing position, we went 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we want to hold that position, our passing position, before we make contact with the ball. That's going to be a full note too. Like, we want our body stable and ready for the time of a full note before we make contact. And then, when we contact, we're not just a statue, right? We explode with our legs a little bit. Our core moves, shoulders move, elbows move. People say to not swing at the ball. I always say 80% of your pass should be in your legs, but they all swing their platforms, right? You just don't swing your platform like someone who's starting the game, but it should be 80% lower body, and then I think 10, 15, 20% little swing. Anyways, that's beside the point. The point I was making is our footwork, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're holding that position for the 5th note, and then we're playing the 6th note as our body motion is in contact with the ball, right? And so, like, when we do our approach into a pass or a set, right, our body wants to be in our stable position for a full note, right? Or maybe you can get away with your body in a stable position for a half note, but your body has to be in its stable passing or setting position for at least a half note. Otherwise, you don't have the time to make contact with the ball correctly. So like, you get that timing and everything. You get that timing in your footwork, and you get that timing in your stable position before you make contact with the ball. So yeah, think about that. So just, I guess I'll demonstrate. But we need to start thinking about moving. Well, let me show you. This is bebop jazz. Or, like, have you ever seen like the jazz cartoons from a long time ago? Right? We don't want to play bebop jazz. We want to play rock and roll or classical. And so, like, this is us before the pass. We're gonna do 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's how we're moving. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, hold, whole step, action. That was 6 counts, right? And you could count them all. They were clear and concise, right? And that's what, more simple music is. Not simple. There's very beautiful classical and rock and roll music, but, like, it's concise. And bebop jazz, that's not concise. If you were a musician who knew how to write music, probably wouldn't have a chance in hell in trying to transcribe a bebop song that you heard. I don't know, though. Some people out there are pretty crazy. So yeah, let's just think about our movement is not random and frantic. If your movement is random and frantic and late, you're playing bebop. If your movement is smooth and you hold the notes, then you're grooving. And that's what I gotta say. You gotta hold the notes, right? Because if you don't hold the notes, you don't have a soul, right? So you gotta hold them. All right. Have a good day.